In the beginning of the drama, we are shown the drama's female lead Shin, who comes on a blind date by becoming a girl named Jia. The person she is the blind date with is none other than the hero of our drama, Van. As soon as she reaches there, Shin tries to act bold. She is doing all this so that the blind date gets ruined. Now Van understands her intentions and says, "Okay, if you are so straight, then I have also made a plan." Van realizes that she is fake and tells her that he has already booked a room. Hearing this, Shin gets shocked because she had not even thought about it. She starts making excuses from her side, but Van is not ready to listen to her, so he starts taking her towards the room. Then Shin says in her mind that I have to get out of here. Not even a single excuse of Shin works. Van takes her into the room and starts taking off his clothes. Seeing this, Shin gets even more worried. As soon as he starts coming very close to her, Shin kicks him hard and runs away from there. After that, we find out that she goes on blind dates for other people, and in return, she gets a lot of money. She is happily going home in a rickshaw when she suddenly looks back and sees that Van is following her. His friend is also with him, who asks, "Why are you following her?" Then Van tells him that she is fake and wanted to ruin the blind date. "That is why I am following her." When Shin tells the rickshaw driver that someone is following them, the poor driver also starts driving the rickshaw very fast. Meanwhile, at a signal the rickshaw goes ahead, and because the signal turns red, Van has to stop there, and because of this, he gets very angry. The rickshaw driver drops Shin at her house. Now he had driven the rickshaw so fast that Shin's condition becomes very bad. After coming home, Shin starts praising herself and says that one day I will become a queen. Just then, a maid comes from the side and says that you are late. From here, we get to know the truth that she works as a cleaner in this house, and for the outside world she lives like a rich person. All this is just a show, and the house where she works actually belongs to Van. In the next scene, after coming home, Van starts taking a shower. When Shin is doing the housework, she hears the sound of water from the shower room. She goes and turns off the shower because she thinks no one is at home. As soon as she turns back and sees Van, she gets shocked and starts screaming. During this, Van pulls her into the shower and says that this house is mine. "Who are you and why are you screaming?" As soon as Shin sees his face, she realizes that the person she went on a blind date with today is him. Van also recognizes her, and both of them shout while looking at each other and say, "You are the same one." In the next scene, we see Shin telling him that it was the first time I went by becoming fake on a blind date. My behavior was completely fine. Rather, your behavior was bad. Van tells her that I have nothing to do with this. Have you thought about what Jia's parents will think if they find out? Along with this, he gives her two options. The first option is that either you leave this house and go away. The second option is that you have to live with me as a partner, and he gives her 10 seconds to think. For Shin, this time feels like it stops, and she starts thinking that if I live with him, then what is the worst that can happen? We will go out for dating, and this guy does not look very poor, so there will be no money problem either. But she shows him as if she is having a lot of difficulty and says, "Okay, I choose the second option." Hearing this, Van says that just like I thought, everything is going according to the plan. After that, we see a past scene where he had gone to meet his dad. His dad says that you will get the company only when you go on a blind date. At first, Van is not ready to agree. But then an idea comes into his mind that he will create a fake marriage plan, and he gets ready to go on a blind date from foreign. In the present scene, we see that now they start deciding what will be included in this contract. Shin says that I am ready for this, but we will have some level. On the first level, you can only kiss on my face. On the second level, you can hug me. And on the third level, you can only hold my hand. In the contract, going on 30 dates was written, which does not feel right to her. On this, Van says okay, then we will go on 25 dates. Shin explains to him that no, we cannot go on 25 dates because the psychological fact is that if we go on more than 20 dates with someone, then we can fall in love with them. And yes, after the contract ends, both of them will never see each other again. With these conditions, the deal gets fixed between them. Then the scene shifts and we see Shin starting to work in the office. As soon as she reaches there, she finds out that a new president has been appointed, but she had no idea that the new president would be Van. On the other hand, Van then goes to meet his dad in the office and tells him that the person I went on a blind date with, I have fallen in love with her at first sight. Hearing this, his dad becomes very happy. Van then gives his dad a gift in which he has fixed a microphone. He did all this so that he could listen to his dad's talk. On the other hand, Shin is sitting and doing her work when she suddenly gets a message from Van, asking her for a night date. Shin does not want to go, but because of the contract, she cannot refuse. At night, she reaches the place where he has called her for the date and sees that he is standing there holding flowers for her. Shin says in her heart that when he stays quiet, he looks so handsome. As soon as she goes near him, Van tells her that my dad is keeping an eye on both of us, so you will have to act. Shin looks around and her eyes fall on two men who are secretly watching them, but they are still clearly visible. When those two realize that Shin has seen them, they start pretending like they are random people. After that, when both of them go inside the restaurant, the manager comes to them and immediately says that we are sorry. Today your booking cannot be done here. At this moment, we come to know that Shin is also an influencer. As soon as she arrives, she posts a photo of this restaurant on the internet, on which likes have already come. From this, the manager understands that we cannot make her angry at all. Then he also says sorry for his earlier behavior and gives them good service. Van gets shocked seeing all this because he did not know that this girl has so much talent. Meanwhile, the people who are keeping an eye on them also come into the same restaurant. They sit in a corner and tell Van's dad that we are keeping a full watch on them. Then they take out their mobile and start showing live streaming with the help of the camera. Van is also sitting in the restaurant and listening to his dad's talks with the help of the microphone. Van also knows that his dad cannot hear their voices. In reality, both of them are talking about something else, but they're showing as if they are very close to each other. After finishing their food, as soon as they start leaving, Van hears his dad's voice in the microphone saying that these two are very simple. They're not even kissing each other. On hearing this, he thinks of asking Shin, but she is not going to hang around, so he holds her and starts kissing her. Van's dad is not able to see all this. Then we come to know that all the people present in the restaurant are also his own men. Everyone takes out their devices and starts sending their videos to his dad. Seeing this scene, Van's dad becomes very happy. As soon as Van and Shin leave from there, the men watching them tell the other people that our work is finished. Everyone starts leaving the restaurant. Seeing this, the restaurant manager gets shocked. Now he does not understand at all what was going on here and why his restaurant was so crowded today. After going home, Van starts doing romance with a poster so that the men watching feel that he is romancing with Shin. He is doing all this when Shin suddenly comes from upstairs. She starts snatching that poster from him. In between, both of them accidentally kiss once again, and this is very surprising for both of them. Shin cannot tolerate this, so she slaps him on the face. His poor face becomes very bad, and he says to Shin, "Did you see what you did?" On this, Shin says to Van, "See, now our account is equal." Shin then reminds him of the contract conditions and says do not forget them, otherwise our contract might get cancelled. With this, they turn off the room light. The men who are watching them tell this to Van's dad, and he tells them, "Okay, now you all come home." After going home, they start doing lip syncing of the video they had made because there was no sound in that video. But the translation they are doing is completely wrong. At that time, both of them were talking about something else, but in the translation, these men say that they are talking about having children, and for this Shin wants money. Hearing all this, Van's dad gets angry at that girl, thinking how can she do this? Who asks for so much money for children? Next day, we are shown the scene where Van takes the lift to go to the office. Other girls are also present in that lift, and Shin is also included among them. All the other girls start praising their new boss, but Shin does not like the boss's praise at all. Van hears this and gets very angry at this girl. Shin had changed her identity and started working in this office, and she kept her name as Jia. She is sitting in the office and working when she suddenly gets a mail from her boss, in which a lot of responsibility work is given to her. Because of this, she gets upset. On the other hand, Van is standing in his office and again starts listening to his dad's talks, who is telling his men that Van is actually very talented. His acting is also good, so we will have to keep an eye on him for 3 months. Van says, "Okay, so 3 months. Meanwhile, Shin completes the work given to her and sends it. This thing impresses Van a little. Shin gets very tired because of work. Just then she gets a call from Van, who tells her to go on a date tonight. At first she refuses, but when he talks about double pay, she becomes happy and gets ready to go immediately. She is just about to leave for the date when she also gets a call from her friend, the same one who had sent her on a date earlier as well. She also offers her double pay, but for that she has to do only one thing, to go on a blind date again. In this way, Tonight she has to go on dates with 2 people. After reaching there, she tells Van why not go on an escape room date tonight. Then she takes him into an escape room and says that both of us will come out from different paths and see who comes out first. She says all this so that as soon as she gets a chance, she can go on the blind date with the other guy. She wants to ruin this blind date, but as soon as she meets that guy there, she gets completely surprised because that guy is her senior and she already had a crush on him. Then she changes her intention of ruining the blind date. At the same time, the men who are keeping an eye on them also arrive and immediately tell Van's dad that this girl is also involved with another boy. On the other hand, poor Van is not able to come out of the escape room and keeps getting scared again and again because it is his first time. On the other side, Shin tells her crush everything, that she came on a blind date in place of someone else. Her crush also tells her that he also came here only because of his parents. It has been 7 years since they last met, so after meeting each other today, they look very happy. Just then, Van comes there from above. Van takes her aside and asks Shin about that boy. Shin tells him that I have not come on a blind date with that boy either. I came to fool him. On this, Van tells her that you should act carefully. We are being watched. This is a hint towards those 2 men who have been watching them for a long time. Then Shin says, wait for 1 minute. I will handle the whole matter. She goes to her crush and tells him that the boy who came behind has a phobia and he is my friend's friend. Because of this illness, I have to go on a date with him. Shin's crush says okay, fine. Then I will go and talk to him. He goes and tells Van that if you want, the 3 of us can eat together. Shin does not want the 3 of them to eat together. Van also knows this, but still he agrees to eat. All 3 go to one table and start eating food. Then that boy tells his name that my name is Lin. There is a misunderstanding going on between the 3 of them, and they are talking about this only. Seeing them talk like this, Van's dad is not able to understand at all how it is possible that these people can talk so peacefully. After finishing dinner, Lin says goodbye to them and leaves. The men who were watching them bring the food bill, which is 18,000. Hearing this, they get completely shocked. In the next scene, we see that when Van and Shin are leaving, Van tells her that according to the contract, you should not go with any other man. On this, she says that I am doing all this for money, not right now, but in the future I will need it. And she also says that you do not know what all I can do for money. On the other hand, we see Van's friend, who has gone to meet his dad. His dad tells him that the girl he is dating is not good, so you should arrange more blind dates for him. Hearing this, Van's friend gets surprised because he does not want to do this. After that, Van's friend arranges some blind dates for him. He is talking to a girl thinking she is a client when Shin also comes there and sees him. Then her eyes also fall on the men sitting on the side. From this, she understands that all this is being done by his dad. Then she sticks close to Van to ruin this plan. Van does not like this at all and says, "What are you doing? I have come here with my clients." The girl in front says, "I have come here on a blind date." Hearing this, Van gets completely shocked. As soon as Shin hears this, she starts acting and says, "How can you bring another girl here on a blind date behind my back?" Saying this, she slaps him hard on the face. Then the other girl sitting in front also comes forward and slaps him hard on the face. After all this happens, the girl leaves from there in anger. Seeing all this, Van asks Shin, "What are you doing here?" She says, "You had sent me a message." Then she finds out that the message was not sent by Van, but by his friend. Then she shows anger in acting and says that I did not like this at all, that you came on a blind date with another girl. When she is leaving, there is a slight smile on her face because she enjoyed creating the scene a lot. After that, Van's friend comes there, and Van asks him, "Why did you betray me after all?" His friend says, "You know that your dad is my boss, so I have to keep him happy." Van understands that behind all this, it is his dad's hand. So he directly goes to his dad's house to talk to him. His dad tells him that we just wanted to check that girl, so we made this whole plan. His mom says you should invite her for dinner. We want to meet her personally. Later, when Van talks about this with Shin, she clearly refuses. But because of the contract, she has to go to meet his parents. Van's parents start talking to Shin by thinking she is Jia. During these talks, Van's mom brings milk for her. She wants to do an experiment. Shin refuses to drink the milk because she is allergic to it, and whatever questions are asked to Shin, she keeps answering everything properly. Because of this, Van's parents become very happy. After meeting Van's parents, when both of them are returning home, Van tells her that your performance was really very good. He himself gets very impressed by her performance. Van says that because of your performance, I will give you good money today. On this, she says that today I do not want money, instead I want your body. Hearing this, he gets completely surprised and says, "What?" In the next scene, We see Shin telling Van to become a model for a photo shoot with her. Then she quickly goes and gets ready. When she comes back ready, Van gets very impressed after seeing her in those clothes. In this photo shoot, both of them keep coming close to each other, because of which Van feels nervous and his heartbeat becomes very fast. Meanwhile, she tells him that you have to show love emotion. Now he has to do a romantic photo shoot with her. Then she pulls his shirt down from his shoulder and keeps doing the photo shoot by placing her hand on him. After that, both of them do a dinner shoot. As soon as their shoot gets over, because of this Van becomes very tired. He wants to rest, so she asks him to drink with her. After that, both of them sit and start drinking. Because Shin has drunk a lot, she becomes drunk. In between, she tells him that I also have a boyfriend. He asks, "You have a boyfriend? You never told me this before." On this, she says that my boyfriend is actually money. Then she becomes emotional and tells him that you are very lucky that your parents love you. My parents left me in an orphanage. I used to feel very jealous after seeing others. Everyone used to enjoy with their parents, but I was alone. In the same way, one day I ran away from the orphanage to meet my parents. Then I met a boy who brought a cake for me. After that, I never saw that boy again. After telling this, she comes to the topic of her company and says that a new boss has come in the company, and he is a very big bastard. He makes me work a lot. If this keeps going on, he will ruin his company. Along with this, she also tells Van that you also have to say bad things about my boss. But she does not know that he is her boss, and Van also does not know that she works in his company. Then both of them start saying bad things about her boss, because both of them are drunk and talking freely. Meanwhile, both of them also come very close to each other. Next day in the morning, when she wakes up, she sees Van's shirt lying on her bed. Seeing this, she thinks that Van did something wrong with her at night. She picks up the shirt and comes to him and says, "Why is your shirt on my bed? If you have done something wrong with me, I will call the police. Show me the night footage." When he shows her the footage, she comes to know that after getting drunk at night, she had vomited on Van's shirt. Then she took off his shirt and kept it in her room so that she could wash it. It was very cold outside, and she had locked the door from outside, because of which Van spent the whole night outside. After seeing the video, she feels very ashamed. Because of the cold, a garbage cover was lying on the side, so Van covered himself with it and spent the whole night there. Seeing all this, she laughs a lot. Then she also says sorry to him and says that from now on I will not drink. Meanwhile, while going for a meeting, her bicycle gets damaged. Van is going to the office and asks her, "Should I drop you? Where do you want to go?" On this, Shin tells him her office address, and he gets shocked. Now, while dropping her in the car, he asks her, "What are you going to do at this place?" On this, she tells him that actually I work there. Hearing this, he gets completely shocked because the boss she was abusing at night was none other than him. But he does not tell Shin that the company where you work, I am the boss of that company. In the next scene, we see Van roaming in the office with his friend when he bumps into Shin. And because he does not want to tell her that he is her boss, his friend is also with him. So he lies and tells his friend to act as the company's boss. She is using another name. Van also comes to know about that name. And then he remembers that the girl who was talking bad about the boss in the lift that day was her only. And from this side, she had kept her name as Jia. Everyone is called into the meeting room. Van also goes into the meeting room, and his eyes fall on Shin, who is sitting there. So instead of sitting on the boss chair, he sits on the side chair and tells his friend that you give today's meeting briefing. But he is not able to give the briefing properly. Then he tells Van that you only give the briefing. Seeing Van's knowledge, Shin gets a little surprised that this is his first day at work, and look how well he is giving the briefing. How can he be so talented? While watching this whole scene, Shin says in her heart that honestly, this boss is very useless. This company will not run with him. But she gets impressed by Van's way of giving the briefing. She feels that this boy will definitely become successful in the future. As soon as both of them come out of the meeting, Van's friend asks what was Shin doing in the meeting? On this, Van tells him that she is Jia. Hearing this, his friend gets completely shocked and then asks, "Why did you not tell her that you are the boss of your company?" He thought, what would I even tell him when last night both of them were together saying bad things about the company boss? Then he gets Shin's message asking to eat together. As soon as he reads it, he starts smiling. His friend notices this because he has never smiled like this before. In the next scene, we see Van and Shin eating together. During this, she says that you are very talented. The boss of this company is useless. If you work with him, You will not learn anything. Then she tells him that I have worked with a celebrity whose name is Ming. Can you set up a meeting between me and her? Van tells her that she has gone abroad, right? Just then, a message comes from his friend saying that Ming has returned. After reading the message, Van gets worried because at this time only Ming had to return. His friend goes to the airport to receive Ming, while Van is at home worried. Next day, Shin goes to her boss and says that I am going to start a food life show, so for this I need Ming. She gives a long speech praising Ming. Her boss refuses and says no, this is not possible. Shin then tells Van to convince his boss. He gives a signal, but still the proposal gets rejected. Because of this, Shin gets very angry at her boss. Her colleague is sitting near her and tells her a secret. Her colleague says that your boss has rejected this proposal because he and Ming are twins. I think they do not want to work together because Ming is more talented. Maybe the whole company will go towards her. Hearing her colleague's words, Shin says in her heart that my company boss is useless, so I will help Ming. In the next scene, we see Shin going to meet Ming and telling her the proposal. Then she also tells the company name, which is actually her brother's company. On this, Ming gets ready to read her proposal. Meanwhile, Shin's eyes fall on Ming's phone, whose wallpaper has a photo of Ming and Van together. Seeing this, Shin says in her heart that if Ming was having an affair with someone, then was it Van? Van had dumped her. Yes, now I understand everything. By this time, Ming has read the proposal. Shin cannot stop herself and asks that the boy in the photo on your phone, is he your ex? Look how sincere you were in your relationship. Even now you have kept his photo. Whatever relationship you both have, I will help to fix it. Hearing this, Ming starts laughing inside because Shin does not know that he is my brother. She finds this girl interesting, so she signs the contract. After signing the contract, when Ming looks back, Van's friend is standing there. Shin, thinking him to be her boss, says, "Boss, what are you doing here?" He says, "I am your boss. I have my own work. You have nothing to do with this." After Shin leaves, Van's friend tells Ming everything that has been going on till now. Ming also tells him that Shin thinks I am Van's ex, and she wants to fix our relationship. At this moment, we come to know that these two, Ming and Van's friend, are in a relationship, and Van does not know this. In the next scene, we see Shin trying to hypnotize Van to find out what feelings he has for Ming. During the hypnosis, he starts getting thoughts of Shin and begins talking about her. But Shin feels that he is talking about his ex only. Then in this happiness, she wakes him up. After waking up, he reminds her that tomorrow both of us have to go on a date. Hearing this, Shin makes a plan in her mind. Next morning, Shin convinces Van to go cycling, and she also calls Ming. Van does not like this at all, but Ming starts teasing him as soon as she comes. Seeing all this, Shin is enjoying a lot. Shin tells them to hang out together. Van does not want this, but he also has no other option. Then Van goes to Shin and asks her what is all this going on here. Shin tells him that when I hypnotized you, at that time you said that you still like your ex. This feels strange to Van. After that, we see that now all of them are sitting at one place. Shin goes to bring something. After she leaves, her sister Ming says, "Your girlfriend is beautiful, right?" Van leans a little closer and says, "You tell me, what is the reason for you coming here?" His sister says, "You made this fake girlfriend so that you can take Dad's company, right?" Van says, "Then what is it to you?" She says, "I am your sister, so I care about you." Seeing this, Shin says in her heart that if this keeps going like this, then both of them will soon fall in love with each other again. Van's sister says, "I am sincere for you. If I was not sincere, then I would have told Dad that you were cheating him." Then we are shown some past scene where she used to trouble her brother a lot, and during school days, she also used to get him punished. She used to enjoy it a lot. Like she used to show expressions earlier. Even now she is showing the same. So Van starts thinking about what is going on in her mind now. He says to her, "Whether my relationship with her is fake or not, what is it to you?" On this, his sister understands that Van has fallen in love with Shin. Van tells her, "Do not tell Dad about this." She says, "You already know my nature. Whatever I want, I achieve it." Shin, who is coming towards them, slips and falls on the way. Van immediately goes and lifts her up. On this, Shin says, "What are you doing?" Ming is watching all this, but Van does not listen to her and makes her sit on the bench. Now it is time for Ming to leave, so she leaves from there. After that, Van brings the bicycle so that he can make Shin sit and take her home. In the next scene, we see Ming, who has now reached for the food live stream. She is talking about the products when she gets hurt. Seeing this, Van's friend immediately comes to her and starts taking care of her. This first surprises Van, but then he thinks that maybe they are friends for 8 years. That is why he is taking care of her. Still, Van doubts his friend's action. Now when their shooting gets completed, we see that Shin is standing on the balcony with flowers. Van and Shin start talking to each other. Meanwhile, Van feels that if he talks to Shin about flowers, she will get impressed. Then he starts telling her about flowers and many fairs there. Then she says to him, Van, you have remembered all these things so that you can impress Ming, right? After that, when both of them come down, they see that Ming and Van's friend are talking to each other. Seeing this, Van goes into thinking that what is going on between these two. On the other hand, Shin misunderstands that Van's friend and Ming are siblings and says in her heart, look how much love there is between these brother and sister. Then both of them go near them. Shin says to Van, did you want to say something to Ming? Van says, you are looking good. Hearing this, Ming becomes happy. After this, Van and Shin go to eat food. There, Shin starts taking photos so that they can get a discount. Then she asks him, how did you convince the boss to hire Ming for this project? Van lies and says that I talked to the boss, and he immediately agreed. Shin tells him that I have seen that you still care about Ming. You should tell Ming about your feeling. Next day, as soon as Van comes out of his room, he sees that Shin and Ming are talking to each other. As soon as Shin sees Van, she tells him that today is her birthday. You both tell what you want to eat. On this, Ming tells her favorite dishes. In the next scene, we see that all three are eating together. During eating, Shin tells Ming that whatever misunderstandings are there between you both, I want to end them. Shin also tells Ming about her fake contract. She also tells that yesterday when Ming got hurt, Van was feeling very nervous. Hearing this, Van feels very strange. When the food finishes, Shin says that I am going to sleep. You both sit here and talk. As she starts to leave, Van stops her and says, sit here. Shin changes her decision and sits there. But because of drinking too much, she was completely drunk. Here, the way Van is looking at Shin. Seeing this, Ming understands that he truly loves her. Van and Ming were talking when Shin also starts speaking in between, and at that time she was not in her senses at all. Shin says that Ming should be the owner of Sea Tower Company. Van asks, do you not like the current boss of Sea Tower? On this, Shin starts bad-mouthing him and says that he makes her work too much. Then she tells that the boss's sister Ming is very talented. While getting emotional, she says, I just want to prove to this world that I was not so useless that my parents left me. Hearing this, Van becomes emotional. He comes near her, wipes her tears, and says that now you should rest. In the next scene, we see Van planting flowers on the balcony. Just then, Shin comes upstairs and asks, are you planting these for Ming? Van replies, no, these are not for her. I am planting these for you. And at the same time, he wishes her happy birthday. After this, Shin starts looking around and asks if any agent is watching them. She feels that maybe some agent is watching and both of them are acting. When it turns out that no agent is watching, the poor girl becomes confused. She gets so confused that she even forgets the way to her room. Even after going to the room, she cannot sleep and keeps thinking, what did he mean by saying that? Does he like me? Then she herself says, no, maybe he has gone crazy. He does not even know that our relationship is fake. Because of this, both of them cannot sleep. Both go near their own windows and look outside, and then they find out that Van's friend has come to pick Ming. Shin says in her heart, it seems the relationship between these two is very deep, and just then both of them start kissing. Seeing this scene, Van and Shin both get shocked. Next day, when Shin goes to her office, she looks very confused. She tells her friend, what if Ming is adopted? Her colleague says, no, you are thinking too much. Their faces also match. Then she shows her Van's photo and says, look, their faces are matching, right? Only then Shin realizes that the boss of this office is Van himself. Now she becomes very angry. As soon as she reaches outside the office, she sees Van inside shouting angrily at his friend and saying, since when has all this been going on? His friend tells him, since our school days. Van angrily asks, in these 8 years you should have told me, right? Why did you not tell me till now? His friend explains, just think, I am going to become your brother-in-law. You should be happy. We are anyway like brothers. As soon as Shin enters the office, both of them quickly change their seats. Seeing this, Shin makes a plan in her mind. She says, I need the president in the live streaming. Then her friend says, yes, this is a perfect idea. This will also make our show a hit. After that, when they reach the room where the live streaming is going to happen, Van signals his friend that you are the company president. You go. Just then Shin stops him and says, no, Van, you should go. I know that you are the owner of this company. Hearing this, Van gets shocked that when and how did she find out? Now Van has to participate in the show. He does some dance steps and seeing this, Shin enjoys a lot. Poor Van keeps doing strange actions for a long time. Finally, Van gets tired and tells Shin, all this is happening because of you. You are doing this on purpose, right? Shin replies, no, it is not my fault. This was all your own plan. Then Van hides while trying to tell the truth and says in his heart, I did not tell you this truth that I am the boss of this company because you hated the boss. I did not want you to hate me because of this. Now in the next episode script of the show, it is decided that he has to hold a froggy puppet and say I like you. Ming says, I will make Shin the froggy puppet. This will give you a good chance to share your feeling. He goes on stage and through the froggy expresses his feelings. But when he sees that Shin is standing right in front of him, he gets completely shocked. Then we find out that all this planning was done by Shin and Van's friend together. He wanted to take revenge on Van, right? That is why he sends a message from an ID named Cocoon to fool Shin. But he did not know that Shin's ID was already hacked. Here, Shin is talking with her senior Lin on the terrace, but Van thinks that Shin is talking to him only. Inside, he becomes very happy and makes a movie plan. At the same time, Shin also makes a movie plan with her senior Lin. Van books the entire theater and also makes some arrangements. Next day, as soon as he reaches the theater, he sees that Shin has come with Lin. Seeing this, poor Van becomes very worried. Now all three are sitting and watching the movie when Ming and Van's friend also arrive. They had also come to watch the movie and sit just behind them. During the movie, Shin starts crying again and again. So Van and Lin both give her tissues so that she can wipe her tears. Meanwhile, Shin gets up to leave, and then through the movie poster, Van again expresses his feelings. Seeing all this, Shin gets very impressed and tells Van, I understand now. You are doing all this so that I can tell my feelings to my senior. Then Shin tells Lin, I like you. At that very moment, flowers are also brought, and Shin gives those flowers to Lin. All of Van's plans get completely ruined. After going home, when Van talks to Shin about the account, Shin tells him that her account had been hacked. Then Van understands that the person he was chatting with was not Shin, but someone else. After that, Van uses his contacts and gets her account recovered. In the next scene, we see Lin going with Shin to see an exhibition, and while following them, Van also reaches there. When Lin takes Shin a little to the side, Van tells her that agents are watching us, so I have to act. Shin looks around and says, I cannot see any agents anywhere. Now all three of them start looking at the drawings together. Taking advantage of this moment, Lin tries to put his hand on Shin's waist, but Van ruins his plan. While looking at the paintings, they reach a special painting, which Lin had made on Shin's birthday. Seeing that painting, Shin gets impressed. Van is standing there watching all this. Then Van asks, what is the price of this painting? Lin replies, making paintings is just my hobby. I do not sell them. Van cannot tolerate the feelings between those two. He wants to disturb them, but both of them keep ignoring him. Now all three are sitting at the same table. Shin feels uncomfortable because she wants to spend this time alone with Lin, and then she leaves from there with Lin. After going home, Van tells Lin and his friend about today's incident, on which both of them start laughing loudly. Then Van starts waiting for Shin to come home. As soon as she comes, he tells her the contract rules that while staying in this contract, you cannot go on a date with anyone else. Shin replies that I just went out with a friend. I did not go on a date. After she goes to her room, Van feels very angry. Next day, Van goes to the office and tells his friend that someone is trying to lower our company's level. We have to find out who it is. On the other side, Ming gets very tired because of streaming. Just then Shin comes to her and says, look, our streaming is getting millions of views. Hearing this, Ming becomes very happy. Where their streaming is going on, Van also reaches there with his friend. There he meets Lin. Lin tells Van, do not take what happened yesterday to heart. They are still talking when Shin comes there. Then they tell Shin that Lin's group and Van's group are working together. Shin also tells them that our live streaming is also going well. We are getting good views and we are working harder to gain even more views. In the next scene, we see all of them sitting and cooking together. Lin wants to make Shin taste the food, so Van takes it himself and eats it, and says that it is not cooked properly. When Van feeds his own dish to Shin, Shin feels the chili. Lin gives her a water bottle, but Van takes that bottle from Lin and drinks it himself. After that, Van shakes a soft drink bottle so that when the cap is open, the drink falls on him. Then he gives that bottle to Lin. As soon as Lin opens the bottle, he gets completely wet. Now Shin wants to clean his shirt, but Van starts cleaning Lin himself with tissues. Seeing Van doing this, Lin gets impressed and also starts feeling nervous, so he goes into his tent. It is nighttime. Van does not have a lighter to light the fire. Van goes into the tent and asks Lin for a lighter. Because of how close they are, Lin starts feeling nervous. Then they light the fire and sit together. Just then Shin says that live streaming is about to start. I have to go. After Shin leaves, Van tells Lin that I want to tell you something. Lin replies, no. Before that I want to tell you something. Look, I like Shin. Van says, I also like her. Lin clarifies, I like her as a friend. Van warns him, okay, if you like her then I understand. But if I find out that your intentions are wrong, then you will be in trouble. Lin says, no, you are misunderstanding. There is nothing like that between us. After this, Lin goes and sits near Ming and starts flirting with her. Meanwhile, Ming asks him, what do you think about Shin? He replies, she is just my friend, nothing more than that. Ming says, then tell her the truth. Lin replies, no, I do not want to hurt her feeling. In the end, he puts a proposal in front of Ming. If you and I get married, then no one can stop both our companies from touching the sky. In the next scene, we see Shin and Ming talking about live streaming. Their data is being fluctuated. Ming tells Shin that Lin Group might be behind this because they have done such things before, and on top of that, my brother Van is getting this investigated. On the other side, we see Van's dad playing polo and meeting his friend. There he finds out that Van is not dating his friend's daughter. Hearing this, he gets very angry. In this anger, he goes to his son's house to meet him. Van's dad starts scolding him. How can you do this with me? Why did you need to act like this? Don't you care about the company? Van tries to explain to his dad that all of this was his fault. Then Shin tells Van's dad, no, it's my fault. I'm the one who fell in love with Van. My family background wasn't good, so Van thought he shouldn't introduce me to his mom and dad. All of this is my fault. Please forgive me. Then she goes on to give Van's parents a long speech about his qualities, and in the process, she gets emotional too. Van's dad says, if you both love each other, your background doesn't matter to us. Then Shin says, I'll cook for you all. You eat and enjoy. In the kitchen, she asks Van, how did you like my acting? Now it's night. Everyone is eating together. Once again, Shin has gotten drunk because of the drinks. Van takes her to her room. While covering her with a sheet, the door knocks. Her mom has arrived. Van immediately sticks close to Shin so that her mom doesn't suspect anything. After her mom leaves, Shin changes her side and accidentally kisses him again. Shin feels embarrassed. The next day, when Van's parents leave, Shin says to Van, did you like my performance? Now you'll have to pay double. But Van's mind is only thinking about last night. Does she remember what happened? Shin does remember everything. She's just pretending that she doesn't. In the next scene, we see the Lin family hosting a party. Shin gets ready and goes there. Her senior Lin introduces her to his parents. When his parents find out that Shin grew up in an orphanage, they don't show her any special attention. Van's dad also comes to that party. Lin introduces Shin to Van's dad. Seeing him, Shin gets very nervous. On top of that, Ming arrives and exposes Shin, saying that she has a fake marriage contract with her brother. At that moment, Van arrives and says, hey, what are you saying? You can't scold my girlfriend like this. Van's dad gets extremely angry and is about to slap Shin. Van tells his dad, it's my fault, not hers. I'm the one who convinced her to do this contract. Van's dad asks, are you worthy of running my company? At the same time, Lin says, yes, she's absolutely not worthy, and I have proof of how the live viewership was being manipulated. He has a pen drive. Van's friend checks the pen drive and says, yes, it has the full record of data fluctuation. This way, Van gets proof that Lin is behind the data fluctuation. Then we find out that this was all planned so Lin could be made to admit that he was behind the data fraud, and they succeed in this mission. Lin tells his dad, Dad, I did all this for my company. I wanted to make you happy. But his dad doesn't listen and leave. In the next scene, we see Van reaching the office early. Everyone is surprised that the president came so early. When he enters his room, he sees that his dad is already sitting there. His dad says, now you should tell Shin your feeling. Van goes to Shin's office with flowers. Shin looks around first and notices Van's dad, so she takes the flowers. Van's dad is very happy and says, tell us whatever you want to eat. We'll get it for you. Shin says she wants pineapple. A helicopter is arranged to take her there. In the helicopter, Shin is very happy. Van's dad takes her to a restaurant famous for pineapples. Shin says, you did so much for me. Van's dad replies, it's nothing. Tell me whatever you want to eat. I'll take you there myself. Later, when Shin returns to the office, her colleagues start asking about her love affair. Poor girl can't tell them it's all a fake contract, so she lies, saying they met online. Now the whole office gossips about the two. In the elevator, some people say, Shin is such a gold digger. Van is also in the elevator and hears this. He says, what are you saying? Do you even know how hard she works and what she has done for the company? Then he takes Shin's hand and leads her to his office, where Van's dad is standing. Van's dad had hired top chefs for Shin and some staff to bring branded clothes and bags. Van's dad says, I know you're interested in all this, so I invited these brands here. Whenever a new product launches, you'll see it first. Shin was actually only using the brands for show. She liked the brands, but to keep Van's dad happy, she says, okay, I'll keep them. Then Van's dad gives Van a file and says, now this company is yours, just like I promised you. In the next scene, Van asks his assistant about signs of love. Everything the assistant explains, Van feels intuitively. When he reaches the office, Shin comes to Van and says she wants to terminate the contract. As she tries to leave, Van wants to stop her and confess his feelings, but then holds back. Shin goes outside and says, whatever happened, it's good. The contract is over. I should be happy about this. She starts packing her things at home, but she doesn't feel any real happiness. She asks her AI assistant, who tells her, maybe you've developed an emotional attachment to your project, so it's hard for you to let it go. Meanwhile, Van is at the office when his friend comes and says, this is urgent. Shin has left home. Van goes home and calls out for Shin but gets no response. Then he calls and asks, did you leave? Shin says, the contract ended, so I left home. After the call ends, she thinks, I miss him so much, and wait, hoping he might call again. Shin receives a call. She thinks it's Van, but it's actually the lawn worker, which makes her very upset. Because he was drunk, Van accidentally calls Shin instead of his parents and says, I know this relationship was part of the contract, but I still love you. Van's dad hears this and tells his mom, see, I told you he's fallen in love. Van's dad starts planning to bring them together. In the next scene, Van goes home. He sees his dad sitting there. His dad says, I'm taking back the fake C company from you. How will you manage your company if you can't even share your emotions? Meanwhile, Shin is waiting for Van's call when Van's dad calls her. She goes to meet him. Van's dad says, I know your relationship was fake, but my son truly loves you. Shin tells him she has resigned from the company. Van's dad says, don't worry, I have a plan for that too. The next day, Van goes to the office with his friend and sees Shin sitting in his chair. Shin explains that Van's dad hired her in the company, and she's the acting president. Van is her secretary, and his friend is assistant secretary. Van is secretly very happy. Leaving the office, Shin meets a man who says, are you Shin? I'm your dad. I've been searching for you everywhere. Shin takes him to eat and asks, who gave you my address? He says, I called the orphanage director. Later, she takes him to her home. Seeing the house, he's extremely happy and apologizes. I didn't raise you myself. Shin asks about her mom. He explains, your mom ran away after giving birth. Raising you alone was too hard, so I left you at the orphanage. In the next scene, Shin goes to the office, still upset about her dad's story. When Van asks, she doesn't tell him anything. Van understands she's upset but doesn't want to talk about it. In the next scene, Shin comes home and finds out her dad was beaten. She asks him, and he explains that he got trapped in debt, which is why he couldn't visit her. He needed money to pay it off. Shin says, I asked at the police station about you. They said you gamble. If you promise not to gamble again, I'm willing to keep you here with me. Her dad says, no, I can't quit gambling. Hearing this, Shin kicks her dad out of the house. As he leaves, he says, I'll see you. Later, he goes straight to Shin's office and starts making a scene, shouting, I'm Shin's dad, and she kicked me out. Van's friend comes and says, the president is calling you. He is then taken to the office. Van asks him, who are you? He says, I'm Shin's dad. Van is extremely surprised. Van says, okay, let's get to the point. What do you want? He says, if you give me $2 million, I'll leave. Van says, okay, I'll give you $2 million, but promise me you'll never show up here again or bother Shin. Later, when Shin's dad returns home, she asks, what are you doing here? He says, I went to your company. Your boss is great. Your future is set, and I made a deal with him. I'll take care of you from now on. Shin gets very angry at her dad. He says, you're my daughter, my blood. I'll stay with you until I die. Shin, angry, says, get out of my house. It seems I need to teach you some manners. He was about to take out his belt to hit her. Meanwhile, Van comes from behind and beats up Shin's dad. Then Van goes to Shin and asks, are you okay? At that moment, Shin's dad stands up again and says, you cannot take her anywhere. She is my daughter. If you didn't give me the money, I will take her away from you. The money Shin's dad asked for was written on his shirt as a promise that he would never come near Shin again. Van gives it to him. After coming outside, Shin tells Van, "You shouldn't have given him the money." But Van says, "You are more than money to me." Because of her dad, Shin starts crying and hugs Van. Then Van takes her to his home. There, Shin says, "I used to think that when I earned more money, I would feel secure. But now I realize that when you are with me, I feel secure." A man then comes with a cake and says, "Today is your actual birthday, right? Let's celebrate together." Seeing the cake, Shin becomes extremely happy. Then we realize that when she was a little girl and ran away from the orphanage, the boy who came to her with a cake was none other than Van. Meanwhile, Van confesses his feelings to Shin. Shin gets ready to give Van a chance. In the next scene, we see Shin and Van talking about their romance. Then we find out their romance-based shooting was going on. While acting, Shin and Van become serious and end up kissing each other. Van's friend says, "Look, their acting seems so real." Ming says, "Good, you see they're acting. Don't you notice they're showing real feelings?" Then, all the staff leave the room so they are not disturbed. The next day, the four of them stand in front of Van's dad. Dad says, "How could you hide all this from me?" Then he asks his daughter, Ming, "How long has your relationship with Van's friend been?" Van tells his dad, "Almost 7 years." Dad says, "Ming could have told me herself." "Okay, fine. I'm happy for both of you." Then he asks Van and Shin, "When did your love go from fake to real?" Shin told Van's dad, "For this, we signed another contract." Hearing this, Van's dad becomes happy and says, "Okay, I understand. Weekend is coming. What are you doing here? Go on a date, go out." Van's dad loves watching short dramas. He watches a short drama where an old man has a grandchild. Thinking about the grandchild, Van's dad looks very happy. Now we see Ming doing live streaming, with Van's friend sitting beside her. During the live stream, she proposes marriage to him. Because of this, Ming's boyfriend is completely shocked. He asks, "Will you marry me?" Ming immediately agrees and says yes. Shin watches their live stream and looks very happy. Van is also sitting with her. Then Van tells Shin, "Every moment with you is special for me, and I want to spend my whole life in these feelings and special moments." Here, Van shares his feelings with Shin and proposes, "Will you marry me?" You can answer whenever you feel ready. You don't have to answer now. How could Shin say no to Van's proposal? She immediately says yes. With this happy moment between them, our cute and sweet drama ends. Thank you so much for watching. So guys, tell me in the comments how you liked this drama. See you in the next video with a new story. Till then, stay tuned.